time ago in a small southern town, my mother felt ill as the sun was going down. She was taken to the hospital, then let go, and she was gone. Gone, gone, oh no, searching simple truth. And now I'm searching, searching simple truth.
The 50s. When people think of the 50s in America, they think of the birth of rock and roll and bobby socks and saddle shoes and the American dream of the little house with the white picket fence with the mom and the dad and the two kids. There was another side of that idyllic life that nobody was talking about but was there. Segregation, Jim Crow, whites only signs, colored only signs, lynchings, the things that, the ugly side of America. And we were separated from birth through life to death, even in death. And this is the story I'm going to talk about how this led to me searching for Mom.
On June 7th, 1958, my baby sister was born. 10 days later, our mother was dead. My sister never got to know my mother. The only thing she knows of my mother are the things that she was told by different family members.
Now, in the 50s, people that were deaf were treated like they were mentally disabled. Maybe it was the way that they talked, that made people think that they had some kind of mental disability, but that's not true. They were actually very smart people, and are today vibrant members of society. Anyway, if you think back to the 50s, at a time, my mother was a black woman who couldn't hear. And so the story that I was told is that she wasn't feeling well one day. She had this horrific headache, so bad she had to go to the hospital. And she took my sister with her because my sister is the family interpreter. She's an amazing sign language person. She can interpret for them if need be because she's that good. So she went with my mother and tried to explain that my mother was having a headache and it was very bad. And because my mother couldn't speak for herself and she just had a baby, they assumed that it was some kind of stomach ailment and they sent my mother home. So she was untreated and she went home. First of all, she went to what was called the colored hospital because of segregation. So already she got inferior care. They didn't listen to her. You always listen to the patient. And they sent her home. So when they sent her home, she completed her day, whatever that, a housewife does, cook for the family, and then went to bed. In the morning, she got up and she got the family off. My brother and sister went to school and my father to work. She got in the bed to breastfeed me, had a massive brain bleed, and was dead in seconds. I finally, after 60 years, saw the death certificate, and it said an aneurysm, probably a congenital abnormality. Of course, I don't know how they would know something like that. I guess they did an autopsy. I don't really know. But the thing is, I've always felt that this could have been prevented if it was today. First of all, she would not have to drive all the way across town to go to the hospital. She could go to the nearest one. She would have got a CT scan. They would have seen the aneurysm, and she would have probably survived. However, being the time that it was and the area that she lived in, this was an impossibility. And it is something that haunts me every day, because there are events in my life that I wish my mother were here. I wish she was here to meet my wife, to meet my children, to teach me recipes. It's a big hole that's never filled, and so the thing that happened is after my mother was buried, nobody marked the grave. Nobody kept up with where she was buried. So when I got older, as I went to live with a very nice family, my aunt and uncle were my foster parents. They were so good, I didn't even know they were my foster parents until I was 15 years old. They're excellent. Good home, good education, middle class life. So when I started searching for my mom's grave, I found out that it was lost. So this is one of my sons. This is Keith. And he's been on this amazing journey with me. And I wanted to ask him how he feels about it because he has to experience it with me. And so I thought I'd put the ball in his court and let him explain to you what he has seen and how he feels about the situation, and also maybe how he would feel if it was him. Are you ready? Okay. Go ahead.
How I feel about it is, the first thing that comes to mind is the time that we're living in now.
Okay, Wednesday, it's Lori, and I believe I'm here at the historical East End Cemetery. I guess maybe we missed the cleanup crew, apparently. Maybe they came early. But this is the place. I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to find what you need me to find, but I'll be out here. I'll try to look. And you said she doesn't have a marker, so I do think that would be very difficult for me to locate, but at any rate, let's see. Some of these people, that person looks like they were born in 1892 and passed in 1975. So yeah, this is pretty historical, very old. This person passed in 1924. I probably do need help because I don't know where to look. It's like, hold on a second. I'm going to look at the paperwork she sent. Okay, Wednesday, I did try.
Here we are, holding on. You hold me, I hold you. Give me strength, and I'll be brave enough to make it through. When the sun rises, I look into your eyes, and anything is possible
So I found a phone number for East End Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. It's at 50 Evergreen Road. So, but I never knew it even had a phone number because, thank God for Facebook. Because it's not an active cemetery, it's a historical African American cemetery. So, let's go.
Okay. When I heard that Auntie Wednesday was on a journey to find the resting place of her mom, I was in full support. I don't know what it's like to search for my mom because my mom has always been there.
Hello, I was trying to reach the Friends of East End Cemetery organization.
Well, I'm affiliated with them.
Okay. My name is Wednesday Palacios, and I was calling because my mother was buried in that cemetery in 1958. And
Okay.
the grave is, all I have is a row number and a plot number, which the reason why it's been lost for 62 years is because they spelled her name wrong. So we just found it. And I have row E, plot 7. That's all I got, and the name of the cemetery. Is there any way to find out where that is in the cemetery? I'm disabled and I live in LA now. If I was to make a trip out there, I'd like to know that, it would be possible to find the grave.
Well, what is her name?
The way a person grows up. It's also the way I grew up. There's always been a sort of shadow that hung over our family of just simply not knowing who my grandmother was. It's still something that we do discuss it all the time, but it is something that, if you love somebody and there's a particular pain that they have inside them, you can't help but see it, and you feel powerless not being able to do anything about it. And of course I position myself into what she must feel, and it's the same thing. If I couldn't know where she was buried, it's a particular unrest that's inside my soul, just like it would be for anybody.
Okay. Let me see if we found her already. Just a second here.
Okay.
If we found her gravestone, because we've pretty well photographed all the gravestones there.
Really?
Yeah, and we don't have any cemetery records.
Yeah, I know. There's no cemetery records, and I don't know why my family didn't keep better care of it, because I went into foster care. She died when I was 10 days old. So I didn't, and I've been trying to get information for probably most of my life, and this is the closest I've ever gotten.
But if she weren't in my life, I would feel a missing void, I think. And I would probably try to fill that void.
I told her about about the headaches my mother said she was having, and asked her to tell her mother. She said the adults were talking right now, but she would wait for a break in their conversation to tell her mother. A few minutes later, she went over to her mother. About an hour later, the adults, including my father, left to take my mother to the hospital. Later, they all returned. After they left, my mother showed me the medicine that she had been given. She said she didn't think that the hospital had given her the right medication. They gave her a liquid that was for her stomach. She didn't have a stomachache. She had a headache. My mother said she never talked to a doctor. The nurse never asked her any questions, even though my mother was able to lip read. Apparently, the nurse wasn't sure my mother could understand anything. My mother said she wanted to go back to the hospital the next day and asked to talk to a doctor.
Answers to any questions I may have about my roots, my culture. When I learned the background of Auntie Wednesday's mom's passing and the way it happened, I felt very sorry to hear about it. It's not something that you're taught in schools. It's not something that you hear on a regular basis. And it's definitely not something written in history books. She passed during a time, and it's interesting because today we're dealing with racism at the forefront of our culture, and in some cases it's a cultural war. I mean, maybe it always has been, but at the time that Auntie Wednesday's mom passed, the state the nation was in terms of the culture, was horrific. And those that were not white or part of the majority, considered white, received the short end of the stick in almost all areas of their lives. And one area specifically was medical care.
The next day was a Tuesday. Around 6 a.m., I saw my father kiss my mother goodbye and leave for work. I went back to sleep. My brother and I were supposed to meet our cousin at the playground around 9. We had recently moved, and my cousin wasn't sure she could find our house. She was supposed to come over and help my mother with the baby. I woke up. My brother and I unfortunately had overslept. When I woke up and looked at the clock, it was after 9. I jumped up and I called to my brother to get up. Then I went to my mother's bed to wake her, but she didn't wake up. Then I heard a knock at the door. It was my cousin. I opened the door and I let her in. She said she had decided to try and find her way to the house since we weren't there. She wanted to know why it took us so long to get to answer the door since the apartment was very small. I explained my mother that we couldn't wake my mother up. I tried again, no luck. My brother tried, then my cousin. We were so busy trying to wake my mother, we forgot about the baby. The baby had started to cry. She was in my mother's arms. Since my cousin was the oldest and the tallest, we let her take the baby from our mother's arm. After she took the baby, I climbed into the bed with my mother. I thought if I shook her harder, she would wake up. I shook her, she didn't. I looked at her, and her head was laying back on the pillow, and her mouth was partially open. Maybe she really was sick, I thought. After all, she had a very bad headache yesterday. I couldn't see her chest moving. I put my hand over her heart, and I didn't feel anything, but I really wasn't sure. I tried checking her pulse like they do on television. Unfortunately, I didn't know how to do this. Neither did my cousin or my brother. The only thing I could think of was to see if she was breathing. I told my brother to get a mirror. He brought me a hand mirror, and I put the mirror to her face. I put it right under her nose. Nothing. My brother tried. My cousin tried. Still, no fog on the mirror. Then it finally hit us. My mother was dead. What were we going to do? A 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and me. I began to panic. and cry and cry. Then after I stopped hyperventilating and crying, I turned my attention to my baby sister, who was still crying. My cousin thought maybe the baby needed a diaper change, and she changed the baby. Then she asked me about my sister's bottle. Luckily for me, my mother had shown me just the day before how to heat a bottle and how to make formula. I went to the refrigerator and there was one bottle left. Now in those days, making formula consisted of a can of evaporated milk, some clear Kairos syrup, and of course hot water. I heated the bottle just as I'd been instructed, and I tested it on my wrist. Then I gave the bottle to my cousin, had her tested. I figured she knew more about this than I did. We also decided that my cousin would be the one to feed the baby, since she'd had more experience with children, and my brother and I had not. It had always been just the two of us. Then things really started to sink in.
And that's exactly what happened. And it was my first time hearing that your burial site was determined by the color of your skin. That's not something where that has no bearing in the culture that I was raised in. And so when I found that out, I was really heartbroken. But not only that, it's even worse to find out that in that burial site, sometimes there's no history or no log. So finding your loved ones might be close to impossible if you don't have any traces or trails back to that person. It could be endless, an endless journey.
Okay, I just, looking at their death certificate, it does say East End. And unfortunately with that, we don't have even a plot map for the cemetery, so you said it's Chloe, plot 7.
Well, it said East End Cemetery, and then it said E7. And I asked a friend of mine, she said, listen, I've been to a lot of funerals, and that is a row number and a plot number. She said, but if it's a really big cemetery, that's going to be hard to find.
Well, see, I see an E7 on the death certificate, but that's not a plot and row.
What is that?
It's a code for where they are buried or something. It's just a code that they put on the death certificate. I thought that's what they were at first myself until I realized they weren't. When I started looking at But I want to check one other thing here too, okay?
Okay.
I honestly think there isn't really a part of our life that really does offer a genuine love that you're guaranteed to have. Life is you come into it real fast, and nothing is forever and nothing is guaranteed. Probably the only thing that's guaranteed for every person equally, usually, is a mother's love. You come in out of love. It's the one person that will love you no matter what happens. And it's something that never changes. And I think if you don't have that love, it does alter who you are profoundly. Because people do meet spouses. Sometimes you can build a family out of friends if you're lucky.
What I'm looking for is their obituary. Because just to make sure, because sometimes they got the cemeteries mixed up. The death certificates aren't always accurate.
I don't know if there was one, because my father was also hearing impaired, and it was just a hot mess in the 50s. They just didn't treat deaf people well. My mother was too. They treated them like they were mentally impaired, and that's not true. But you know how it is.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not finding it, just to find out, let me check.
You know, I would have liked to know my mother for, selfish reasons, like, because I want a mom and things like that. Because, I mean, for myself, it's not really selfish. Everybody deserves a mother. But there's another reason why I wish that I had met my mother, is because I have this bone disease that it's just eating up my bones. I've had 6 major surgeries, 3 spinal fusions, both my hips are replaced. And I would like to know if anybody else in my family had this. Maybe my mother could have told me. I don't know, but I'll never know. And it's this mystery disease. And I know it's stupid, but I keep thinking the mystery would be solved if she was alive. She would say, oh yeah, Uncle so-and-so had that. And, oh yeah, your great-grandmother on your father's side had blah, but because that missing link, that missing piece is not there, that piece that, connects us all together, mom, dad, sisters, brothers, that one piece being pulled out means that I'll never know. I'll never know. Disease with no name, girl with no mom. Come on.
Evergreen Cemetery next door to it.
Right.
And sometimes we're actually buried there, even though the death certificate says East End and vice versa. I want to check to see if, just in case, if we found.
I thought she was an evergreen, but then the death certificate said East End.
Yeah, that's. I've seen that mixed up in the death certificates. I got one other thing. I got the records for Evergreen does have records.
Oh wow.
And I've got copies here I can take a look at and see.
But there has to be, in this big world, there has to be people that are unlucky, and so they don't get that luxury that so much of us do have, and that maybe we can survive on without a parent. Can you imagine if she was somebody who had no one she could love, no children of her own, maybe 1 or 2 possible relationships that didn't, love for a time, and then it's gone, and then all you have after that would have been a parent's love, an absolute thing, an absolute guarantee in a life that's full of no guarantees. And you take that away, what's a person have left, And that's coming from somebody who doesn't understand what it must be like to, completely give birth to another being from your very own body. It must be a deep connection. And for it to be severed, it reverberates. It must echo inside you.
I don't see her in the Evergreen records from June 58.
Dang.
Well,
It's always the same dead end.
Buried at East End.
Oh, she probably was, yeah.
I mean, we would be able to take you to, show you an approximate area, because they tended to bury them by year, chronologically. Where the 58 burials are, and actually we've actually studied some of those, trying to figure it out more, but
right.
We don't understand for sure how they, you would think, it was kind of where the next person died got the next grave, but it wasn't always the case.
Yeah, really? It was kind of random then.
Yeah, not, because it could have been they were buried, one buried before the other, and, for whatever reason. So I haven't been able to figure it all out, but, we could get close probably.
Wow. Well,
most likely what she had is they put in these, what they call courtesy markers, little metal markers that the funeral home put in.
Most likely that's what she got.
But over the years, a lot of those had disappeared when people were mowing or whatever. I mean, at Evergreen, there's been a lot of them lost, even recently.
My God. Yeah, it was always told to me that her grave was lost. And then I found out that nobody really looked. So I got my sister to get the death certificate.
We've gotten the cemetery all cleaned off.
Really?
Especially, pretty much from where all the graves and the 58 graves are especially, yes.
Oh my goodness, that's good news.
There's a new owner now, and they've been maintaining it recently, but they came in recently and we needed most of it, so I mean it is pretty clear right now.
So does the new owner allow people to go in there? Because it's something about it being a historical landmark. That doesn't matter, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was my first time hearing that your burial site was determined by the color of your skin. That's not something where that has no bearing in the culture that I was raised in. And so when I found that out, I was really heartbroken. But not only that, it's even worse to find out that in that burial site, sometimes there's no history or no log. So finding your loved ones might be close to impossible if you don't have any traces or trails back to that person. It could be an endless journey.
Ever is found.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the process of beginning a documentary on finding my mother's grave. And so, because I'm disabled, before I make a trip, I have to line things up because I can't walk that far. And it's a big cemetery.
Unfortunately, I'm trying to remember the 58s. Do you have email?
Yeah.
If you want, we've got the aerial views of the cemetery.
Yes, please.
And I can mark where all the 58s are on there.
That would be great.
So that would give you a feeling.
Yes.
Alright, or if you just want to email me.
Likely she is in East End.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, the Evergreen records for like the 50s are pretty good. If she was buried there, I think I would have seen it in the records, seen her name in the records.
Right. All right.
And I don't.
All right. Well, I guess that since it's a foundation, they're probably open tomorrow and not today.
Right.
I'll call them tomorrow, but I'll email you today. Okay?
Yeah. It may take me a day or so to get the map up.
No worries. That's fine. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. You have a blessed day.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. I have to text my sister.